Welcome back, guys. It's the Brothers Geek Out podcast, and I've got a special guest on today. I want to introduce to you guys Neil from Get Your Comic Con. Is that right?
That is
Get Your
right.
Comic Con?
That is correct.
Get Your Comic Con. How you been, Neil? You all right?
I'm good. It's so nice to see you. It's been so long.
It has been. I think the last...
Oh, Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, that was the last time we saw each other. Yeah, so we got to see each other halfway through.
Yeah.
The pandemic that we went through with the whole world. But I'm glad you're well and safe, and it was good to see you there at that event. I can't
it
wait
was good
for
to see your friendly face.
more to come. I'm hoping for, is it 17th of May? All the cinemas open. I'm so excited.
We're about 2 weeks away.
Oh man, so excited to get back into the big screen, because as much as I've enjoyed watching things from home, I genuinely miss the cinema.
Yeah, me too. It's been so weird watching stuff that should be on the big screen, but watching it at home. It's just like it's surreal.
It was because I felt like, oh my god, we got all of these screeners and things to watch online, and I mean, we recently did Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I was like, oh my god, I know it's 4 hours, but I would have loved to seen that on the biggest screen, like just to like. I could imagine all of us at home now geeking out, completely going crazy as we were watching it.
Yeah.
In your own comfort, but it would have been nice to kind of share that with everybody else.
That's the thing. And it's the same with Godzilla versus Kong as well. That film just needs to be seen on a big screen. As amazing as it is to get that kind of opportunity to see it before everyone else, watching it at home just doesn't have the same magic. And it's Mortal Kombat week as well. So I know from Warner Brothers that they're going to be sending around copies of it tomorrow. And again, it just needs to be seen on a big screen, but it's going to be watched at home.
Yeah, no, I was actually kind of gutted with Godzilla versus Kong because sometimes if it's not streamed off the TV itself, then you're not going to get the sound quality. But because it was through the laptop, and I had to connect it to the TV, and then I was like, suddenly Virgin wants to mess up and it doesn't want to work with their VPN.
Oh no!
And I had actually tethered that film from my mobile internet and watched it through the laptop, through the TV. Wow. Sorry, yeah, but it was connected to 3 devices. Oh my god. The things we do.
I was about to say the same thing. The things we do to be able to watch these things.
The things we do. But Neil, can you let the listeners know a little bit about what you do, and what you do, and then where we can find you? Because I want to start plugging straight away, basically, even though everything's in the description. But let us know.
So you can find all of our reviews and stuff on the website, which is www.getyourcomiccon.co.uk. There is, I think, 9 of us at the moment that are doing comic book reviews, film reviews, TV reviews. You've got our podcast, which is fortnightly as well. So that's on all your major platforms. So Apple, Spotify, all of those. Again, just call Get Your Comic Con. What else we got? We're trying to push YouTube stuff at the moment. Cool. So we've been doing this little kind of like weekly news roundup video thing that goes on Twitter, and there's now like a longer version, like a longer edit that goes onto YouTube as well. So if you've had a busy week and you're not quite up to date with all the news and stuff, come and watch me or one of the other guys on the team for sort of 10 minutes, just telling you about all the big stuff that's been going on this week. So you can find us absolutely everywhere, just at Get Your Comic Con.
No, that's awesome. So I'm because I met you a couple of years back, and I'm just thinking.
I was thinking about this yesterday when we first met. I think it must have been. I can't remember if you were at the same press screening of it as me. Was it Aquaman?
Yes.
So I went to. Yes. I wasn't at the premiere, but I was at a press screening that was a few days later, and I was hanging out with Paul from DC World that night because he was kind of like the only person I knew at the time. I'm sure that must have been it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's the same time as well. Definitely must be this. My God, the time has gone by so quick. Because that's like 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Can you believe it?
3 years ago. Oh my God, yeah, it went by very, very quick. So, how long have you been doing this for now?
So, the very first version of this under this name is going to be 9 years old this year. Yeah, so 9 years. 9 years ago. We went to San Diego for the first time. We did it kind of backwards. We booked a holiday really, really cheap to go to San Diego before tickets went on sale for Comic-Con. Never been to Comic-Con before. And then didn't get tickets to the convention, but still had the holiday. So went and had like an amazing 2 weeks in San Diego, got back, and it was a bit like, it was kind of sad because we were there at the exact same time. And we stood outside that convention center, like looking through the door, and we could see everything inside. And it was like you're like this close to being in like the mecca of comic conventions.
Yeah.
So we got back, and that year it like Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con always falls either just before or on my birthday. So it was just before my birthday, and we were out with friends on my birthday after we got back. And they were all like, oh, just like start writing about comic books. Just like start a blog, write about comic books, and like guarantee you like that, you'll get a press pass. I was like, yeah, whatever. A few drinks later, that seems like a really, really good idea. And that was it. The next day, that was a thing. It was a Tumblr blog for like I think about a year. And I was writing I wasn't doing like news stuff. There was no podcast, nothing like that. We weren't even doing social media. It was just me writing about comics.
Wow.
So I did it for about a year, and then I think fell away from it a bit. So I was like, well, what am I actually doing this for? This is never like, I had no major ambition to do any of the stuff I'm doing now. So I drifted away from it for like 12, 18 months, and then just had this, like, just something in the back of my mind was like, do you know what, you should go back to that. So I did, shifted it from Tumblr to what's now the WordPress, like actually bought the web address and stuff so that it was a bit more official, did the social media thing, and then just slowly but surely stuff starts building. And then you're like, do you know what, I quite like podcasting, maybe we should give that a go. And then start buying like microphones, and then you suddenly like, you're building up stuff, and you're like, this is really good fun. And so years ago, so my degree, I actually did a film production degree, and I've got a master's in script writing. So I have kind of a film kind of background. So I spent a lot of time editing and stuff. So I was just like, just doing a little bit of video stuff on just, like flexing the muscle on using Premiere and stuff. And then suddenly here we are.
Wow. That's like absolutely awesome. And the team grew in the process as well.
Yeah, majorly. So again, so screenings were never a thing that I ever expected to happen, or anything kind of being sent my way as a freebie to do with any of the stuff I was writing about. And having anybody else work with me was never a thing I ever envisioned. But along the way, people are just like, do you know what? Can I give it a shot? And I'm like, yeah, sure, just join in. If I can share what I get with people, it's great.
That's amazing. That's the main thing for me, is sharing that with other people, and that excitement in it as well. Because I feel like, I don't know, depending on what type of things that you do, I feel like when I started my journey, it was just based on art.
Yeah.
And it was just for fun. I was just drawing for fun, and you started seeing people interested and asking things, and I think. I'm coming on 7 years now with Kibla Ahmed Art, and somebody said, why don't you, same thing as well, Kibs, why don't you do how-to videos on YouTube? And kind of went into, it drifted again, because it was doing how-to videos, then it went into trailer reactions, and then movie reviews, and, the podcast started on the YouTube channel, and only recently we started to just grow on other platforms. And I was like, oh my God, like, it's never ending, because I don't actually like looking at my phone no more. And like after 7 o'clock tonight, that's to the side. But I know something will happen. Oh, bless.
So this is Oliver. He likes to join in on everything.
Oh, bless.
Named after Oliver Queen, no less.
Awesome. So it just kind of just was like, oh my God, you know what? I'm still doing the art, but I think the podcasting is something that I've just enjoyed really just geeking out with everybody, to be honest. And that's been the fun part of it. But yeah, it's as you said, it's a journey, isn't it? It just kind of just grows, doesn't it?
I kind of feel like when you look at if you look at the people that we know, I think the people that end up being the most kind of successful or doing really well and engaging with an audience really well are the people that aren't sort of trying to force it. I think if you actually enjoy it and don't push yourself too, out of your comfort zone too much, or
that's right,
try, and if you focus on, if I don't tend to look at our website visitor numbers all that much, or our podcast listener numbers that much, and I find that when I do, I have less fun doing it. Whereas if I'm not looking at it, then I can just enjoy it, and people enjoy engaging with it more because they can hear that you're enjoying yourself.
Of course, and I think that's the major piece though, because we're in a society now where numbers and the amount of hearts you get on something plays a
Yeah,
big part in somebody's insecurities, which is something that I kind of like pick up on each podcast. Is like, don't worry about that stuff, because
yeah, exactly.
you know the algorithms are not built for human beings. It's the machine, that's cybernet doing its work.
Exactly,
Just
exactly.
the more you love it and people see that honesty in it, that's how you're going to engage with people. And even if it's
Yeah,
one person that says, Kibla, that made me laugh today, your job's done. That's rewarding in
that's
itself.
exactly how I feel about it. Yeah, there was somebody. There's somebody on Twitter called at the Batman Stan who joined Twitter and then tweeted at us to say, "I joined Twitter just to tell at Get Your Comic On I love your podcast." Like, there you go. My job is totally done. Not only did someone listen to it and enjoy it, but they decided to join Twitter to tell me that they enjoyed it. It's great.
That's
That's all I need.
amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Oh my god, that's so cool. Oh man, that's a really nice journey. So
Yeah.
Oliver, I mean, well, you named Oliver.
Yep.
Was there a reason for that? Is it?
I can't remember why it was. I mean, I was Arrow was a big thing for me at the time.
Yeah,
And then there was just something about it that I was like, you know what? We'd been to a couple of cat shelters looking because we decided we were going to get cats.
yeah,
And we'd seen two brothers before. So we have two. We have a boy and a girl. So Oliver and
yeah.
Felicity.
Oh,
And we'd seen a couple of brothers before that who I'd said, well, they have to be called Oliver and Diggle. I obviously had Arrow on the mind at the time.
oh,
He's like,
so I'm.
he's my little shadow. He tends to follow me absolutely everywhere. So working from home has been fun for the last sort of 2 years because literally everyone at my day job is just like, can we see the cat? Can we see the cat, please? We don't really care about
Oh,
you. Can we see the cat?
So every time you're on a Zoom call,
Yep. It's always, where's the cat?
Oliver steals the show, basically. Yeah.
Yep, that's how it works.
So Neil, because I know you do your day job and then you do your superhero stuff in the evening. How
Yep.
do you schedule yourself with stuff like that? Because I think listeners would find that, I think scheduling is a big key in what we do.
It is. And
How do you?
it's really, it's something that I've struggled with a lot. Just
Hmm,
because we do, as well as doing the kind of the review thing and the podcast thing, we do try and keep up with news as much as possible. Because what I found in the early days was until people kind of get to know you as a person and kind of know the things that you like and kind of then get an idea for how you might come at reviewing something. I
yeah,
don't find you pick up that many kind of readers on a website per se. But where you hook them in is if you're covering news that they're interested in. So trailers, casting announcements, all that kind of
that's right.
stuff. So doing reviews is not so bad because you know when a film's coming out, you know when you're going to get to see it. You kind of have that idea that you can schedule yourself around like a film release. But
Yeah,
with news, it can happen. Like who knows what's happening while we're on here right now? Like my phone's
exactly.
probably going to go in a minute and say Henry Cavill signed a new contract to make 5 new Superman movies.
Oh my
Zack Snyder's
god.
Justice League 2 is on the way. So the way I this is probably the wrong way to say it, but I've been quite lucky during the pandemic because I've been working from home and because
Yeah,
I've got more of a team now. So the way we work it at the moment is I generally do my hours between 8 and 4 for my day job.
yeah,
So I'll get up at sort of 6:30, 7, see what's happened overnight. We've got a Slack channel that all the team members are signed up to. So I will
right.
just throw up on there everything that needs to be covered that I haven't got time to write before I start. And then let everyone just take their pick during the day and write it up. And then when
Perfect.
I've got a break, I will do stuff as much as I can. On days when I go into the office, this is when things get a bit crazy. When I'm on an office day, I generally leave the house at 7. So I will get up at 5 and I'll do like an hour and a half before I get ready for work of anything that needs doing from overnight, go do the day job and then start again when I get home. I've just gotten into this routine that it needs to get done. So it gets done when it gets done,
Of
basically.
course, no, and it's because of that motivation and determination of getting things done. It's such a
Yeah.
great thing, and as you said, it's a hard. I suppose at the beginning it was a really hard graft to do that because you're like, I need more hours in the day.
Oh, definitely. I mean, at this point, so my day my day job is a sort of a 40-hour week, And on average, I think Geico's like another 20-hour week on top of that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. I would not be surprised.
But then
I
wouldn't change it for the world because of the opportunities that it's afforded me. Just insane.
It's weird, because like in the past month or two, like some of my hard work has like genuinely paid off like really well. And then something came up yesterday, and I spoke to my wife, and I was like, "What do I do? Like, how do I do this?" And the thing is, I'm not going to I can't give it away now until it's actually confirmed. But it was like, it's like waiting for the bus, and you've been there for half an hour, nothing comes, but you decide to walk to the next stop, and then all 5 of them come at once. You're like, how the hell did that happen, and why did that happen to me? But blessings in disguise. But hard work it does pay off. But I still put the time in, and as you said, you schedule things like during my 9 to 5, I'm still looking after my little one, so waking up at that extra hour early to figure out what sketches I'm going to do on the day, or what we're going to talk about on the next podcast, or what I'm going to design next, or if I'm doing work for a client, if I don't schedule that time in, then I kind of go all over the place. But then, as you said, news, when that stuff comes out and you got to be on top of it.
Yeah, I'm really lucky because there's a few guys that do new stuff. So a few of the team that work with me do review stuff, and then there's a few that do new stuff as well. And I'm really lucky that they're the kind of people that I can just chuck a WhatsApp message to and go, do you know what? I genuinely don't have time. Can you do this? And they'll do their best to always get that stuff out for me if I can't do it myself.
That's awesome. That's
absolutely awesome. And then there's awesome. Like literally just off camera, I've got my whiteboard on the wall, so it already tells me what's in next week's podcast with notes of what's in the next one after that, and then just a list of everything and who's working on it in terms of reviews at the moment. Because I have to try and keep track of it somehow.
No, of course you have to. If I don't look at my to-do list every day, I'm in trouble. But it's always in my face so that I know. Because last week I did make a mistake, and actually the week before. So I'd done a podcast with a musician. It went really well. We vibed so good. It was such a great interview. And the recording, it corrupted. And I was like, oh my God.
Worst nightmare.
And then, I contacted Zoom, and I went through the palaver there, and then said, all right, I have to tell the person that it didn't record and ask him if he can do it again. And which he was happy to do, and we did that. I forgot. I completely forgot. I had it written down, and I just forgot.
Oh no.
And then he forgot as well. And then I messaged him the following day, and I said, dude, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. Anyway, luckily with the way the universe works. So in my day job, I am a vendor manager for a marketing team for an IT reseller, and we deal with education. I recently got a contract where I become Zoom's vendor manager. So that was my way in to ask, I lost a recording last week. Can you kind of help me out? I got the recording back.
Amazing.
Yeah, they I don't know how, but they got the recording back for me. So it's weird how like the universe kind of just did a 360 and come back to me. So
my worst one. So one of the opportunities that's really only come up in the last couple of years is with the DC animated movies. I've been really lucky enough to get to interview quite a lot of the creative kind of writers, directors, and cast members. And the first one that I had interviews for was Justice League Dark Apocalypse War.
Yes, I remember that one.
So I got to interview Jason O'Mara that plays Batman. We had Matt Ryan who plays Constantine, and then we also should have had Chris Gorham who voiced the Flash. And it was the first time I'd done interviews, literally the first time. And with Warner Brothers, the way it works is it's not a Zoom call, it's a Skype telephone call. So you can't record it through the system itself. You need to third-party record it. So I thought I'd figured out all my technology and stuff, and I got the Batman interview and we got the Constantine interview, but Flash just didn't record. It recorded me, but it didn't record him whatsoever. I felt so bad, so bad afterwards. Thankfully, they forgave me because they still allow me to do interviews now. But it was just like my heart sank. I was like, oh my God, all I've got is 10 minutes of me going, yeah. So tell me about Yeah. Oh God, it's so
I do love
frustrating.
those videos. I do love those videos because now I try and double record everything, but
Yeah, me
I've
too.
kind of like need to stay calm and not panic. I think I've become less panicky before like a podcast, or if I'm interviewing somebody and just saying, you know what, it'll be fine. Just stay calm. You've got like 5 recordings going on.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. I'm sure you'll capture something. But yeah, no, I've kind of got around the tech part of things. But yeah, that must have been. Oh, it was heartbreaking for me. I remember telling him, I was like, dude, it didn't record, and we were on it for like an hour and a half, and it was like such a good vibing session. And I was like, sometimes it's I had a podcast this out like earlier on, and it was so hard because it was his first podcast as an artist to come on. And I was like, genuinely, like, just chill out, relax. I'm not gonna ask no stupid questions. It's gonna be comic book related. What do you like? What am I gonna suddenly say? Like, he was really nervous, and I was like, and then he kind of chilled out. Like 10 minutes into it, because I kind of babbled on a little bit. He was like, okay, you know what? This is easy. Kibbs is doing all the talking anyway.
Yeah. The thing I find with interviews, I love doing stuff like this where I just get to talk to someone, especially when it's someone that I know as well, because you're just at ease from the beginning. But the thing with the Warner Brothers interviews, which always kind of gets me, is you literally have a 10-minute window. And I was kind of lucky because I just did ones for Justice Society World War II recently.
Yeah.
And I got to talk to the writer, Jeremy Adams, and I was first to interview him. So we had a couple of minutes before we had to hit record where we just got to chat. So it was kind of like, okay, kind of wind myself down. But then I interviewed Matt Bomer, who is like the biggest name that I've interviewed. So, I mean, he's Larry from Doom Patrol. Everyone knows Matt Bomer. And he was running slightly late. So when I logged into the call, I got to hear the end of the interview from the person before me, which you could on one hand, you could kind of take that as a couple of minutes to sort of take your breath and calm down. But I'm sitting there going, she's asking questions that I'm going to ask. He's going to be thinking, oh, great, I'm getting asked the same question again. And I'm like, okay, just take a breather. It's fine. He's a professional actor. He gets asked the same questions all the time. He's used to it.
Sorry.
I was going to, so I was going to say, so it's just, I do find when I've only got 10 minutes and it's somebody that's a bit more high profile, I do still get a bit nervous, but you settle in pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say about the nervousness. Like,
yeah,
you've been doing it for a good couple of years now and doing the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Does it come any easier?
I think the hosting of the podcast, definitely. I feel really at ease doing that now. I think probably if I was to listen back to some of our early ones, it probably wouldn't sound anywhere near as kind of smooth as it does now. The interviewing thing, I definitely think I'm getting better at. Do you know what I think it is? I don't think I'm nervous about talking necessarily maybe to the person all the time. It's more I'm nervous that I want to get it right. It's kind of, I mean, I have to pinch myself that I get the opportunity in the first place, because let's face it, I'm talking to people that we've like watched on TV and grown up with and whose artwork we love. So that's madness, because I'm not talking to them as, like a paying customer at a convention or something like that. I'm actually getting the opportunity to kind of be one-on-one with this person. But yeah, it does get easier, but I find with the high profile names, I do still get a little bit nervous because I'm a bit like, am I really talking to like Matt Bomer? Is this like, is this real?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I find with this whole thing, even with going to screenings and stuff, is it's just a bit like, is this really like, did me starting this thing 9 years ago really lead to a point where I'm spending my days talking to Warner Brothers and Sony and Disney? It's mad.
No, of course, I don't. It's overwhelming sometimes, because
it is.
I think for me, the first one for me was Michael J. Fox. This was like 5 years ago, and it was when the 30th anniversary, and I tried to get tickets to meet him at London Film and Comic Con and Christopher Lloyd and all of them lot.
Yeah.
And I remember being at the computer when they announced it, and like trying to log in and click the tickets, and had my credit card ready, and it just crashed. The website just crashed, and I was like, oh my God. And like, I spent maybe like an hour or two just thinking, the website's crashed, and calling customer service, like, what's happening? And they were like, it's just it's an influx of people, like, and then they were like, the tickets are sold out. I'm like, what? I was like, you know, the two guys that I want to meet from my favorite movie in the world, and it didn't happen. And then I was like, I looked on StubHub, I went on eBay, people were selling
Anyway,
tickets
you
for
can.
like, yeah, like I think it was like $2,000, $3,000, and I was like, people
Wow.
are paying for this. Is this like really happening? And I was like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. Anyway, I had to let go of it. I said, oh, it's not going to happen. I'll go to the Comic-Con though, but I'm not going to get the chance to meet the guys I want to meet. And the way I love the universe, and suddenly the way I did a 30th anniversary animation of Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
And a friend of a friend called me saying, Kibbs, I saw your your drawing online, and I could only think you're the only person that I could invite you to come meet Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. And I was like, who are you again? Like, who is this? And he used to work for a magazine back then. Can't even remember. I think it was one of those Nuts magazine he used to work for.
Oh wow, one of those.
Yeah, he worked for Nuts magazine, and he was like, look, they've given me tickets. I've got a +1. I'm a Back to the Future fan. Do you want to come? I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what to say. I still don't believe this. Can you hold the line for a second? Let me call you back. And then called my friend and said, dude, did you pass my number on to one of your mutual friends? He was like, yeah, he was been bugging me for like 2 days because he knows you're a Back to the Future fan. And I was like, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
It's like, praise the Lord this happened. And I got the chance to meet Michael J. Fox, and like, it was overwhelming because I was willing to pay for that experience just to meet my favorite actors. For it to kind of come back 360 because of an image that I drew, and somebody said, oh my God,
that's so
Kibbs
cool.
is the perfect person to go and meet. And then overall, then you had Aquaman, and then it's been like a roller coaster of loads of events happening. And I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely mad.
Because I think we'd barely gotten over Aquaman when we went to that fairground for Shazam. I mean, that was madness.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly that. And that was such a good one as well. And then even with having them all up on stage as well, I was like, this is still very unreal. Like, I'm not believing this is happening. So it's still, to this day, kind of keeps me, even though I'm grounded, I still feel like, oh my God, I still can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, definitely.
And I really appreciate some of the things that I've got to do. Like, I'd never thought, when I picked up a comic book when I was 6, 7 years old, that I'd be doing stuff like this.
Yeah, same. Absolutely the same.
So that moves on to my first geeky question, which I have put down. Hopefully I haven't forgot it. But what was your first experience with comic books and heroes?
So, if my family is to be believed, then pretty much my first word was Batman when I was a kid. So my earliest memory would be Batman '89. So I was only 4 when that came out. So I didn't see it in the cinema or anything because I think it was a 15 back then. I didn't get to see a Batman at the cinema until Batman Forever. But I remember family going to see it, and I can remember people. Obviously, even before that, must have just been sat in front of the TV watching like Adam West's Batman reruns or something. So clearly, I was a Batman fan before I can even remember. And then I can remember family being like, "You get, just wait till you see this movie," and then buying me it on VHS. And the earliest toys that I remember getting given for my birthday that year were like a Michael Keaton Batman with a utility belt that was like a grappling hook. So you used to like hook the utility belt on, and he would climb up. And then there was I had him, and I had a Joker that had like a water cannon. So you squeeze the thing on his back, and it would spray out through the flower. So that was it's always been Batman since I was a kid. And my first comic books were this like kids series called I think it was either I Learned to Read with Batman or I Love to Read Batman. And it was I don't think it was like a DC thing. It was obviously licensed from DC, but it was kind of one of those ones that you could pick up in like a supermarket or WH Smith's.
That's
and it was all in the style of Batman the Animated Series, but it was just like stories for really young readers.
Wow.
And then here's one of my universe small world moments. So one of my sisters at the time was living in London, not that far from where I live now, actually.
Yeah.
And I came to stay with her when I was about maybe 7 or 8, and got my first kind of adult comic book. And it's like since completely disintegrated because it's been read so many times. And all I could remember about it, because it's been long gone for years, was that it had some kind of like Dracula story or like vampire story, and then a Batman story. And lo and behold, I have a copy. I prepared this in case you asked this question. So I discovered that it was this like Batman random collection from, I think it's 1909. So this is 1991. Some of this was published.
Amazing.
And it's just like, it's called Batman the Legend Continues, and it's got a classic tale about vampires, and then this crazy, like, it says Batman's down in the mouth with the fear, and then there's some stories about the American Civil War, but it's like proper classic 90s pulp Batman. So I finally, after years, have a copy of it again, thanks to eBay.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I do love eBay. So Batman's your main guy then? Is that your favorite superhero?
Yeah, he's always been my main guy. I always gravitated to that kind of hero character more than, say, like the Supermans of the world.
Yeah.
I prefer the kind of vigilante character.
Yeah.
So it was always DC for me as a kid. Everything was DC for me. Marvel, I watched like the 90s Spider-Man cartoon and like the classic Hulk cartoons and stuff, but I didn't really read any of their comics until I was older. It was always DC for me.
For me, DC was the first comic book. My uncle gave me my first DC comic, which was Superman 1982, 1983. I think it was by John Barnes. It was like a 6-part miniseries called The Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I think it's everybody's favorite. I designed a poster based on it because that's how much I love it. And yeah, so that was the first one. So Superman's always been the guy for me, but over the years, it's always bounced between Iron Man, Batman, and Wolverine. Yeah, so it's never been one.
Batman is definitely my clear front runner. I don't know who I would put in second place. I think it varies for me. There's a lot of like, so like we've got a kind of Robin trilogy on the wall. So there's there's a Tim Drake, and then Dick Grayson Nightwing, and then a Red Hood that's on the wall behind me here. So Robin's quite a strong factor in our family as well.
Yeah.
Spider-Man has got to be my favorite Marvel character. I think I'd probably say Batman and then Spider-Man as a close second.
That's good. That's actually pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So whose powers would you take then?
Ooh, that's a tough question. You stumped me. Do you know what? I'd probably have to go Superman on that one. The ability to fly. You've got to, just the ability to fly like that.
I know. I think flying has always been a part of one of my things, but I don't know. As I've grown older, I've become more. I want Wolverine's healing powers.
Yeah, that would actually. Yeah. The older I get, that could be quite useful, actually.
I want his healing powers. It's too much now because I'm like, well, actually, I don't want to expose my age on here, but yeah, I'm old. I feel it. I do feel it. So Wolverine has like really drawn. His powers have drawn to me now. I want immortality now and healing powers.
Immortality would be a good one. Actually, that would be a good one.
But Gambit, I've always gone to Gambit sometimes. Gambit and Rogue. I don't know why. Just to kind of live that moment from somebody and drain their energy. It's like I take their memories as well. Let me see what you've been going through today.
Must be the effect of the 90s X-Men cartoon, because those two were pretty iconic in that series.
They were, and that I suppose they played a big part of that, because I found Gambit to be quite just a fun, laid back kind of character. He didn't really take things seriously. Always got in trouble, and I was like, okay, I do like this character, and I think that kind of swerved into Iron Man after, and me kind of, I don't know. I suppose his journey in the comic books kind of related to a bit of my journey in the comic books, and I was like, I found something in a character that I can really see myself in.
Yeah.
Which ended up, yeah, it's weird. It's ended up growing into that character for some reason. Something about Iron Man that keeps going back to him always, always. Because sometimes I feel like he's a dick, but then he always ends up doing the right thing. And in the comic books, same thing. He goes through his hardship, and then, you know, I suppose the movies made me like him even more as well. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. Who doesn't like that guy?
Exactly. We just finished rewatching all the movies, so we just watched Endgame at the weekend again, and it just gets me every single time when he does his "I am Iron Man." Yep.
Yeah,
every time.
It's a hard watch. I've actually haven't seen Endgame since the cinema.
Wow.
Yeah, I just can't.
Which
I
do you
can't
prefer, Infinity War or Endgame?
Infinity War.
Yeah, see, I'm exactly the same. Infinity
Yeah.
War is definitely the better movie of the two.
That's right, much better movie. And I like Thanos' story because that was more of Thanos' movie, wasn't it? So I genuinely loved that, and I love the build up to it was amazing. Endgames was really a fan pleasing film. Let's just put everything in. The Russo brothers was like, let's just put everything in there the fans are gonna love, and it paid off. It did pay off. It did pay off. But I'm looking for
one thing that I get asked a lot, and I think about a lot, is how much more they can continue that before it gets to a point where it's like we're so far away from like phase one and everything that happened up to Endgame that we just need to reboot some of these characters. I hate the word reboot, but you know what I mean. Like, how long can this version of the MCU actually last?
I'm not sure, you know, because I was thinking that. I was definitely thinking about that. But I mean, as you can see, Disney and Marvel, I mean, what they did with that new trailer they brought out just to hype everybody up for phase 4. I mean, hearing Stan Lee's voice made me tear up, and I was like,
I know.
Oh my God,
that's one way to really go at people. That's like, I didn't see that coming. Yeah.
Punch me right in the throat, why don't you? Like, absolutely got me. But then, you know, I mean, they won't. I don't think they'll reboot those original characters for a long time coming. I feel like, I think another 10 years maybe we get with these new characters now that they're introducing.
Yeah.
And you got the Disney Plus shows as well, which are just like, I love everybody's fans theories, and like, it's weird. You go on like in like Instagram and TikTok, and you're like, everybody's thinking about what's going to happen next. And I love the fact that Marvel have been able to make you think about what's going to happen next. Like, it's so weird because in comic book world, we do that before we read the next issue. We're like, you know, we've got a little glimpse of what's going to happen, but what's really going to happen, because it's never what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So how is it going to turn out? So it's an amazing journey to take with Marvel. Took us on an amazing journey, basically, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. But I'm a big fan of the DC stuff though as well. So I want Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. Like, I cried so much in that movie because I was so happy, like, on how, like, I just felt like, what happened? Why didn't we get this? Like, I know there's more. There's more to it.
I feel like he presented something. Do you know what I think? I wonder if, you know, now we have this whole multiverse idea with DC.
Yeah.
So from Crisis happening in the TV series to Ezra Miller turning up in that episode of Crisis, to them at Fandom last year saying, you know, this is now the DC multiverse, and these films can cross over with these TV shows even if they're not on the same Earth, because this is all one big happy multiverse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of chicken and the egg, because maybe that only happened because Justice League came out and didn't do as well as it should have back in 2017. But I wonder if we were at the same point that we're at now with this multiverse, and we hadn't had Zack Snyder's kind of trilogy, and they were to say, okay, we're going to go into this slightly darker corner of the DC multiverse and do a trilogy of movies with Zack Snyder that's a slightly more kind of less comic booky, more serious take on these characters, I kind of feel like people would be like, yes, I'm absolutely down for that. Whereas I feel like when Man of Steel came out, and it's an amazing movie, and that was actually the movie that made me connect to Superman. I have always struggled to connect to Superman, but that movie is what did it for me. I just wonder if we wouldn't have had the same journey with those films if they were coming out now, if we'd had a different journey to get to this point.
You know what? I can totally agree with that. And like with Man of Steel, again, it's the first movie that made people connect and grounded Kal-El. As you know, they didn't start it's just weird. He's an alien. They made us know that in this, and he struggled to kind of fit in with mankind. I absolutely adore Man of Steel. But yeah, you're right. If it came out in this time, like, I don't know what it would be like and how it would turn out. So just got to keep hope, I suppose. I keep hope because Justice League was, Zack Snyder's Justice League was just, it was such a treat. Such a treat. And I felt so happy for him. And I was so happy with everything I saw on the screen, like as a visual person, like the color scheme, the soundtrack. Oh my God. But yeah, Barry's scene at the end, I was in tears. My brother was like, stop crying. I was like, I can't.
There are a lot of things in that version that you have to look at it and think, why did you think it was a good idea to take that out?
But yeah, I mean, that's a deeper conversation we can get into. Yeah. But
I'm sure it was just a case that what he presented to them at the time was like because you must have seen his original plan for what would have been Justice League 2 and 3. That would have put a full stop on this version of DC. And I think what Warner Brothers wanted was, I say Warner Brothers wanted a version of the MCU. I don't mean they wanted like that kind of action adventure comedy per se, but that idea of something that can run for like 20, 30 years. And Zack Snyder wasn't going to give them that. And I think that to me seems to be what the major issue was, that they weren't going to get what they wanted out of him. And that's how we ended up in this position.
Damn. But I mean, what's wrong with being different?
Well, exactly. Look at Joker.
Yeah.
When they're different, they win Oscars.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Exactly that. And oh my God, that was such a great film as well. Still disturbs me to this day.
Me too.
Joaquin Phoenix, absolutely. He really made me feel on edge watching that movie.
Yep, definitely.
He really made me feel on edge. I think that's it, dude. Like, a massive thank you, guys. You guys need to follow everything in that description box at the bottom, but not even that. In my edit, I'm going to have these little cool little GIFs going past. Make sure you're following Neil on Instagram, Twitter. Are you still on Tumblr?
No, it was for years. I left it there for years with a WordPress plugin that would push every post over there, but no, it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, make sure you check out the website, guys, and the YouTube channel, because I've been watching it because I catch up on my news on there, and the podcast. Oh my God. So like, since you did the new video edit, yeah, you're just everywhere. You guys did the new intro edit, and I was like, oh my God, that is absolutely awesome. Isn't it
so cool?
Yeah. You have to tell me the story behind it, because when you first put that out, I was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. Like, I always try and do different things in my editing, but was like, is this?
So like, I can't take total credit for that. It was a template that so basically, I always have these ideas of things that I want to do that my skills don't quite reach to that level, and I will give it a shot and I'll keep trying and then go, do you know what? There's probably a template out there. So I'd been searching for something, and I was just looking at like, because it's for the news video mainly, but I'm using it for the podcast as well, because I'm trying to put the podcast onto YouTube as much as possible as well.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want something that fits and just works, and kind of have an idea about what that is. And I like this idea of being able to show the different aspects of the things that we cover, and it needs some damn good music, because we've just been using, I mean, it is a freebie piece of music. But I think it was a case of the theme that we were using before was just a thing that I Googled and found was like the first thing. I was like, yeah, that fits. It sounds like it belongs in like an Arrowverse show. It'll work. So I'd been Googling like just intro videos and templates for intro videos. And I found that one, and I can't remember what was in the dummy version. It was like someone's holiday photos or something.
Brilliant.
But the fact that it's got all these different shots where it looks like pages being torn.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm sorry, but that fits like a comic book panel with like the TV version. Perfect. So picked up the template and was like, right, okay, so we cover comics, film, TV, Comic Cons, gaming. That's the main things. Let's just start chucking stuff in. And then I put in bits that I liked as well. So like there's a bit of Star Trek in there, there's a bit of Power Rangers in there. Basically all my favorite things are in there. And I was like, but this needs a damn good piece of music. So I spent hours just going through, like Googling like epic intro music, epic trailer music, epic music, anything with the word epic till I could find something. And then I found the piece that we're now using. And I put the two together. I was like, nope, that is it. That is like, I rendered it in 4K as well, because apparently everything, I'm just like, I'm sorry, if I've got the ability to do it in 4K, it's going to be in 4K.
Of course,
so I just sit and I watch it on TV, and I'm just like, I just watch it back because I'm like, this is amazing.
I still do that because my wife always says, why are you watching yourself on the TV? And I was like, I want to see the quality. I need to know that it's coming out really well.
Yeah. I mean, when we do the news, when I'm hosting the news video, it's literally me standing in front of the bookshelves that are behind me right now. But I'm like, it has to be perfectly dressed. This is on camera.
Of course, yeah, exactly. And you kind of theme it and everything. I've only recently, so like I was redoing the place when we bought the house, and this was like the storage room. So it had, all my collectibles and everything. And I just didn't think of an idea of how I can put this together, including my work desk and space. And then I was like, it was just stacked full of Funko Pops. I mean, I suppose you can see the windowsill has taken the Funko Pop. And then you've got this stuff up here, which I still need to sort out. But and then I kind of sat there. I was thinking about what can I do to make this look a bit better and just a bit more creative. And then my wife was like, why don't you put up your favorite movie posters? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And I Googled it, and I was like, just about to click order. And then she was like, why don't you just make them yourself?
Good idea. They're really cool.
And
they look really
thank
cool.
you very much. Like those are my 4 favorite movies of all time: Back to the Future, Iron Man, Superman the movie, and Star Wars. And really simplified it. She was like, just do some Art Deco stuff, make it look nice and simple. Don't have too much going on. And I was like, I'm that guy who loves everything going on, too much going on. So, but it was just really nice to try something simplistic. And again, for the videos, it's appealing for people to look at as well. So I'll get that random question. Like, excuse me, where did you get that poster from? I was like, I'm not allowed to sell that. That's only for me only. That's my limited editions up there.
Limited edition of 1.
Yes, exactly that.
The one that you don't get to see on my wall is that little canvas up there, which is actually a picture of me being eaten alive by a zombie. So I think it was the second. Oh, I'm going to have to grab it now.
Yeah, go on.
Oh no, it's completely stuck to the wall.
Oh no, leave it.
Stuck on with Velcro tabs. So I think it was the first time we actually got into San Diego Comic-Con. There's this huge stand for The Walking Dead in the middle of the room, and it was the year. Do you watch Walking Dead?
Yes.
So it was the year that Glenn had gotten stuck in the revolving door.
That's right.
In the mall, and he had to watch the other guy get completely eaten alive in the other compartment. And they'd rebuilt that set for you to just walk around. So I'd been in the queue, and I'd purposefully gotten in the queue at a point where all the actors playing zombies were out front, not behind. So I was like, I can go in here. So I'm standing there pretending to be really scared, I'm stuck, thinking there's no one around. And then all I hear is this, right here is just this. And one of the actors had managed to sneak in behind me, and I had no idea, and he was right there. And I properly shit myself on the spot, just as Martin managed to get a picture of it. And then my sister had it made into a canvas, so that exists on the wall.
I'm going to have to request that picture so I can pop it up in the video. That'd be awesome.
I'll send you that picture.
That'd be awesome, so I can pop it up into the video. But Neil, I'm not going to take too much of your time, dude.
It's been a pleasure.
I want to massive thank you for joining us on the Brothers Geek Out podcast. You're welcome. We're gonna talk more, because I feel like it's always nice to get different opinions and guests on the show. We do the weekly podcast, the Brothers Geek Out podcast, which comes out Sunday evenings, where we talk about most of the crazy geeky world things with my brother in Singapore. But I'd love to get you on the show one day after a movie comes out and just kind of get your thoughts on it as well. It'd be a nice little segment to get you on there. Guys, as I said, all the links are in the description. If you guys are actually listening to this on the various platforms we have now, I'm not going to name them all. I used to name them all.
I know it's impossible, especially with podcasts. There are so many platforms that I don't even realize we're on until suddenly it says you have charted in I don't know, like Hungary on the Get Your Pods Here podcast chart. And I'm like, what? Okay.
It's so weird because now I'm like, I'm not going to say we're on all streaming services at the moment. But if you do want to see, if you do want to see our pretty faces, go check out YouTube, guys. It's go check out the YouTube. Go to Qibla Ahmed Art YouTube channel. Links again in the description. But yeah, Neil, thank you so much for joining us, and I really hope to catch up and see you guys in the flesh soon. Definitely.
Yeah, hopefully soon at some sort of event somewhere in the world.
Hopefully,
bring back Comic Cons.
Yes, I swear they've got one coming soon. But
London
yes, bring back
Comic Con is actually on in July, so hopefully London Film and Comic Con.
I wonder what that's going to be like.
It's the weekend of my birthday as well. So, you know, double celebrations.
Of course. You'll probably see my face there running around if it's all safe and regulated as it should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure it'd be good.